Howdy, folks. I'm Chaotic Cadmium, cantankerously chastising cautious celery.
I'm Amber.
And here's more cautious celery for us to chastise. Amber, why would celery be cautious?
Well, I mean, they do say, you have celery stalks, so, it kind of stalks around.
That's, that's here, you heard it here first, folks. Celery stalks, so it's quiet. Let's get
It
started.
moves cautiously,
It moves cautiously, yes. Because it would hate to get caught stalking.
but not that kind of stalking.
I didn't say it. I didn't say it. Let's get started. All right, folks. Our first letter is titled, "Am I a jerk for boycotting my daughter's wedding because she dated a married man?" Two of my daughters, Tate, a 33-year-old female, and Camille, a 27-year-old female, have dated married men. The family participated in Tate's wedding, but we are boycotting Camille's. I'm a 56-year-old female, and my husband is a 58-year-old male, and we are both strongly against cheating of any kind, as is our entire extended family. However, the situation with Tate was different. Tate's husband of 8 years, Mark, is the CMO of the company that my husband has been with for 12 years. Tate and Mark met when Mark was still married, and Tate kept her dating life from us until my husband found out. We were all very upset. We raised our kids to respect marriages, and that you mess with marriages at your own peril. Yet, what could we do? My husband's supervisor reported to Mark. To upset either party would have been a one-stop shop to having to find another job. Mark was related to two members of the board of directors. We told Tate that we weren't happy with this, that cheating married men are famous for dumping their girlfriends so they can blame their moral shortcomings on her, and then society applauds him for coming to his senses. At least that's what happens where we live. But against all odds, Mark filed for divorce and proposed to my daughter. Tate asked for us to take part in the wedding, and the whole extended family thought about it, realized that Mark's ex-wife seemed perfectly happy rolling around town in her new Mercedes and bachelorette pad, and his son was posting thanking Mark for putting him through Duke University. Nobody seemed hurt, and we did not want my husband to be fired, so we went. 8 years later, Mark and Tate have a 4-year-old son, his ex-wife, Tate, the kids, and another grown daughter who Mark had with another woman all get along, often going on vacation together and giving each other presents. Tate works as COO of one of the businesses that Mark owns, and my husband now works closely with Mark as he's VP now. Everybody is happy and nobody was thrown on the streets. On the other hand, that's exactly what happened when Camille slept with a married man. She demanded that he leave his wife, and this caused a divorce where Camille and her lover are living on $35,000 a year in California. Her lover's wife lost her home due to this and is living off of slightly over $35,000 to support her and her child. The child beep the wife is online saying how she has to fight to have the willpower to go on, and there are a lot of hard feelings. Unlike with Tate, in light of this, the fact that she and her lover literally destroyed a family in every sense, when Camille invited us to the ceremony, I told her to find a stranger to bear witness. All of her siblings, the extended family, all wanted nothing to do with it. She set herself up for poverty, especially since she's living off a humanities grad student stipend. What she did could have driven the ex to a drastic action, and she should be thankful that the ex was strong enough to limit it to cryptic Facebook posts, which make Camille and her lover look like trash. Am I the jerk for telling Camille no thanks to watching the mess that she made of her life? Alright, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Yeah, I think you're a jerk and a raging hypocrite. It seems like you can be bought with enough money. I mean, I know you say, "Oh, nobody get hurt," but first of all, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You don't know how the ex-wife is really feeling in either of these cases.
Yeah.
All you have are the occasional cryptic Facebook post to go off of. And so I think you're just trying to assuage your guilt by being like, look, 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 she's fine. Everything's fine. This is totally fine. We're going to get a lot of money this way. My husband's going to get a promotion. Everything's going to be fine.
Yeah, the problem I have here is that they're treating the two different daughters unequally.
Mm-hmm.
And If they had boycott both of them, then I wouldn't have had a problem with this.
Mhm.
And I think that they really need to go and participate in this wedding since they've already shown that they're willing to support cheating as long as it's with the right person.
Yeah, well, on the whole, like, I don't even know why OP goes into the economics unless it's because I think it's very clear that the OP is upset because the daughter is in poverty on top of that. Like, oh, she set herself up for poverty by getting a humanities grad degree. OP, you need to re examine your morals and your priorities because money does not a good person make.
Yeah.
And it's fine if cheating is a hard line in the sand that you don't want to support. Totally get that, but it needs to be a hard line in the sand.
Well, there's a whole lot of stuff here that I think is kind of wrong. The
Mm
fact that two of his relatives are on the board of directors, I mean, that kind of shows a level of nepotism, doesn't it?
hmm. Mm hmm.
Might have just gotten this position because he has family there. And if his family is rich, basically what you're saying is that as long as somebody has enough money and enough power and enough connections that you're willing to overlook minor transgressions. And I think Amber's right when she says that all the stuff that OP is saying here is just an excuse to assuage their guilt, really. Oh, she's driving around in a Mercedes. She must be happy. Oh, she's got a bachelorette pad. She must be happy, right? I mean, everything that OP mentioned is essentially like monetary
Mm hmm.
to some degree, right? Like, oh, she has enough money, so she must be happy. And so it does seem like a very money centric post here.
Mm hmm.
So I have a really hard time being like, oh well, you're treating your daughters unequally for just cause.
Right. It just feels like it all comes down to money at the end of the day. How is this going to benefit or hurt us as a family? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
well, we can suck it up if my husband's job might be on the line. Although, even though it shouldn't necessarily be on the line if you just disapprove of your daughter's wedding,
Yeah,
it feels very much like OP is very money centered.
yeah. Well, and then I think also, like, I do think that the two situations are slightly different. Like, one daughter did, it seems like, break up a happy marriage versus the other one where they may not have been a happy marriage, right? Then, I mean, I think there's certainly people do figure out that they're not compatible and that they don't want to be together, and I think that's a perfectly legitimate thing. But you should get divorced before starting to date.
It doesn't necessarily sound like either marriage was happy or working. It just may be much harder to be a single parent.
Yeah, yeah.
We don't have any insight into either of the marriages to say whether they were happy
Well, and
or.
I think that's really fair. Like that was maybe an overgeneralized statement of mine. Like we don't know that Camille's partner was any more happy or unhappy in their relationship. I mean, clearly they cheated, so
Mm-hmm.
there had to have at least been some cracks there, right? But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Being Upset That My Wife Cheated? So a bit of background. I was raised by hippie parents, and I guess that I think that it really rubbed off on me when I was starting to date. So I had a very free love attitude to dating and adult intimacy. I slept around a bit and had a few one night stands. I was involved with a polyamorous and open relationships, and I think I would describe myself as aggressively pansexual. In my idea of a perfect world, having adult intimate time would be as socially acceptable as handshakes. I'd happily be intimate pretty much with anyone I know. But I know this isn't the norm. I'm well adjusted socially, and I have a high degree of empathy, I think. And I understand that most people aren't like that. So I am happy being platonic friends with people. And even if I'm very attracted to someone, if they're not interested in me like that, I'm still happy to be friends. Then in 2015, I met my now wife. She wasn't like that at all. She was purely monogamous and felt that intimate time was very personal and intimate. We met each other through friends of friends, and we vibed really well and enjoyed hanging out with each other. And then, when we were chilling out at her house one day, watching an Avengers movie, and her housemates had to leave, and it was just on the couch. And then one thing led to another, and we slept together. After talking about where we were at, we decided to stay as friends. But we just liked hanging out with each other too much, and then it happened again. And we had another talk, but I really liked her, and I figured if I could do monogamy with anyone, it would be her. So I made my decision. Monogamy it was. And, well, we grew together, and apart from the odd, craving for diversity, I was super happy. And I feel like I was falling in love. So I proposed because I realized that I would choose spending the rest of my life with her over polyamory. We got married last year, and we lived our happily ever after until last weekend. So my wife went to a work function. Originally, she had planned on being home no later than 10, but then just before 10, she messaged me saying that she was staying out and will crash at a friend's house. I didn't think it was a big deal, and I said, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Love you. She got back the next day, and she was acting a bit, I don't know, noticeably a bit reserved and withdrawn. Figured that she must have been hungover. I made her a cup of tea, and I asked her if she needed anything. She shook her head and said that she just wanted some alone time. I thought something might have happened, and I said, okay, I'll be here if you need to talk. She didn't look at me, and I was really worried that something awful might have happened. She kept being withdrawn over the weekend, and I was really worried that something awful might have happened, and kept running through different scenarios in my head on the terrible things that might have happened. On Monday, she went to work. I work from home, and without a word, she came home and was still not talking to me. That was when I started putting my foot down. I wanted to respect her need for space, but I also was extremely worried about her, and it wasn't characteristic of her to push me away. We always felt like a unit. Like no matter what, we were always on each other's side. So I said to her, I need to know what's going on. Please, this isn't like you to shut me out. And that's when she burst into tears and told me that they went clubbing and that she met some younger guy who was really hot, and they danced for a while, and she got really drunk, and they ended up going back to his place and being intimate. At this point, I laughed and I was like, oh honey, I was worried that something horrible had happened. And then she looked at me like I had just done something terrible and said, you don't care? And I said, it's not that I don't care, I just don't think of these things in the same way that you do. She claims that I have never cared about a relationship and asked me if I ever cheated on her, and I said that I didn't, but she's being so hard on herself and upset. Like, if she made a mistake, she's punished herself more than I would have ever thought about doing. And also, she was incredibly drunk, and decision making when you're drinking isn't that good. I don't want to share this with friends and family to get their perspective because it's quite a private thing. She says that I'm a jerk for not caring, but like she's just punishing herself and I still love her. Am I really the jerk here? It just strikes me as incredibly possessive to be angry at her about it when I've always had this kind of free love mentality. All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk. I mean, first of all, you are allowed to have whatever feelings about this situation that you have. Like,
Yeah.
it's not incumbent on you to have the exact set of feelings she wants you to.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
matters is how you express them. And it seems like you express it with care and love for her. I don't think there's anything wrong with having a different view on this, and I don't think you would have done yourself a favor by being dishonest with her.
Yeah. I think that OP, you have made it very clear from the very beginning of your relationship that you view intimate times between people as a very different sort of value in a relationship. You don't see it as that big of a thing. And your wife has been the one who's made a big deal out of it. And I think what she's experiencing is cognitive dissonance. She feels like she's done something horrible. She feels like she's betrayed you. And she's probably putting herself in her own shoes. Like, how would I feel if he did something like this? And she would feel deeply betrayed. And I think what's happening right now is she's trying to reconcile that. She wants you to be angry at her because that's how she would be if she were in your shoes.
And that's what she thinks it means to have to be valued in a relationship.
Yeah.
She thinks that the anger is a sign that you value the relationship, which isn't the case in your situation. Like, you made it very clear that you have a very different feeling about this.
Mm-hmm.
So I would recommend potentially going to a couples counselor
Oh,
to
yeah,
sit
yeah.
down. They'll maybe help communicate, because it seems like you're at two very different places.
Yeah.
And hopefully they'll be able to help you find a way to bridge and for her to understand your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is something that doesn't feel like a betrayal to OP, and OP still loves his wife, and he just doesn't view the intimacy in the same way that she does. And I think that if this is still a relationship they want to work on and salvage, that they can go for it, and that this is more power to them, right? So, I mean, I just feel bad that this has turned into such a big deal. And I mean, I certainly understand, like, she's the one who made the requirement of monogamy, right? So OP never restricted their relationship to monogamy. He's just always had the attitude that she can do what she wants, and he'll just, because there's a common denominator where you have to arrive at. Like, if somebody wants monogamy and someone doesn't, then you either have to be monogamous or you're not, right? And so I think, like, she set that standard. OP didn't.
Yeah.
So, but let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got a beverage of choice right here. And Amber, she allegedly has a joke.
A monster landed on Earth, and the first thing he saw was a sparrow. Can you direct me to a hotel? He asked. Cheap, cheap, said the sparrow. It better be, the monster said. Getting here cost me a fortune.
Because we all know that sparrows literally say cheap, cheap. and I have Earl Grey. Oh, Jovial Bobstein, you're so silly. You're such a silly man, Jovial Bobstein. I don't think intergalactic travelers are too worried about hotel costs. Something tells me that. I think that's the least of their concerns. I mean, they have a whole spaceship. I'm sure they're comfortable sleeping on their spaceship. But I don't know. What do I know? I'm just a simple earthling, probably.
Dun dun dun.
No, you missed it's supposed to be do 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 do.
I can't do that very well, though.
All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Friday, Junior.
Happy Friday, Junior.
Thanks to Amber for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance. And please, have it in the form of a wedding invite.
I'll do an anti-moral for this one because that's all I can think of. You are cordially invited to the wedding of A and B. Who, yes, there was some cheating involved, but don't worry, B owns a really lucrative company, so it's all fine.
Why did you use our initials?
Oh, they're the first two letters of the alphabet. All right, let's try that again.
I was just very confused there. I'm like, are we continuing the trend of defaming my character on...
No, you don't have enough money.
I think that moral works. A and B, all the way. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.